So, you know, there's all of those different things that you have to take into account when you're crafting this dialogue. And for the most part, most of these shows that we're working on, we want it to be a pretty faithful adaptation of what's going on. I mean, yes, there are some rare exceptions with something, usually comedies, like Crayon Shin-chan or Super Milk-chan did it, Ghost Stories. There's a few of those where they just kind of throw out the original stories and just say, what the hell, we're just gonna make this some big, funny, goofy, potty humor, or you know, whatever they're gonna do with it. And in those cases, even though they completely threw out like whatever the actual real storyline was, it's still funny. So in a way, you still have that intent. And whenever those decisions are made, that's not just like one person independently deciding they're going to do that. That's collaborative, and it's done with the blessing and the consent of whoever the original licensors are, because after all, it's a business, and the original licensors don't make any money unless their show sells. So you know, it's all a business in the end, and they're looking at what's the most profitable thing. But for the most part, most of us, we want to see the stories conveyed in you know, in a truthful, accurate way, in as much as it can be accurately done. Obviously, we're dealing with, in the case of Japanese and English, two incredibly different languages with different syntax, different grammar, different sentence structures. I mean, just, you almost couldn't get two different languages. That was one of the things that I loved about learning German, is a lot of the syntax and a lot of the root words are the same. So it was very, to me, German I found to be very relatable, because I could follow it, you know. Japanese is very, very different. Just like one little obvious thing, there's no plurals of words. That's a weird thing for me to wrap my head around, because in a lot of Western languages, of course, we do have plurals of words. I mean, just the fact that I put an S on the end of plurals and words right there. So that's just one notion right there. You know, the fact that it's considered rude in Japanese to use, you know, anta, or the you pronoun. That's really considered bad form. So you don't, you wouldn't call someone you. So that's, you know, if you listen to a show in Japanese, you hear they're saying people's names all the time. Well, Jaime, what would Jaime like to do for lunch today, Jaime? You know, they're like saying someone's name all the time. And if we said that in English, it would be ridiculous, because it's not the way our language is structured. We do not speak that way. So that's just one instance of how, like, if you wanted to just try to make it, what I hate if people say this, but like literally, it would just come out like gibberish. It wouldn't make any sense, because like I say, well, you can't have a plural of any word, and you know, can't refer to someone as you. So it's like, suddenly you're very constrained and trying to speak in some weird way that doesn't even make sense. So hopefully, what I always have as a goal, probably not really achievable, but I would like to hope that the audience that I'm writing for will have as close to as possible. I would like them to have basically the same experience as the original audience did. You know, I want them to get the same general experience of the show. You know, a funny example about like the whole plural thing, and anybody who has followed Evangelion for a while may know this, but especially if you saw a lot of the old original merchandise for the TV show, you'd see something where it would say like, Shinji Ikari, the third children. And there was this big argument that came up between ADV and Gainax, that Gainax was just, that show was very heavily supervised, by the way. Everything went back and forth with the scripts and all of this, and Gainax would, you know, have red marks on things and change this to this. And one of their things was that Shinji's the third children, Asuka is the second children. they don't have plurals of words. So they were absolutely convinced that that is the correct way. Child, children, it means exactly the same thing. Thankfully, we won that one, and we were able to use the correct singular form of the word to refer to a single person. So it's just, you know, one of those little oddball things that comes up. So we come across little weird instances like that from time to time, but in any case, we want to, like I said, hopefully give our audience the same kind of experience. And one of the best examples I have of that is I've gotten to work on, bless you, several shows that were originally directed by Shinichi Watanabe, and he's known for directing like really wild, over-the-top comedies. Narima Daikon Brothers, Excel Saga, Puni Puni Poime, The Wallflower, and I was able to be present at a couple of screenings that he attended. One was for Narima Daikon Brothers, and the other one was for The Wallflower. So his English, not so good. He can say things like beef burger, high school girl, you know, a few choice phrases that he's got a real good grasp on. Anyway, so he came to see screenings of his shows. But they were done in English. And he said afterwards, you know, he really enjoyed the screenings, and he enjoyed our work, in so much as not that he could exactly understand every single word that was said in English, but what he knew is exactly where the laugh should be and all of the reactions. And since the show got all the right reactions, like that was a little chuckle, and that was a big guffaw, and this was a and whatever, the audience reacted how he wanted them to react. So therefore, he knew that we had done a good job in transitioning his show, because after all, what is the intent of it? It's a comedy. People should laugh. So that's kind of the whole point of the thing. So we felt really, really good about that.